Standing before you. This is the 2010 model. Just another post-BA 20-something, normal on the outside, pure chaos on the inside, all anger and attitude, but you would never get that from her hardened shell of normalcy, a clever adaptation. This model is prone to emotional outbursts and hysterical mood swings, no notice guaranteed. Now featuring the permanent setting, quarter-life crisis. Here she is, in all of her neurotic glory, suppressing a scream at any given moment. She remembers. She remembers more than just a breakdown. She remembers the anxious tension, the aching emptiness in the pit of her stomach. Though surrounded by others, she was terribly lonely. That dreaded D word loomed over her like the proverbial black cloud. She internalized more and more, until she convinced herself she didn't have a heart, that she wasn't capable of emotions. After all, androids don't shed tears. But let's face it, the girl was drowning in a sea of bureaucracy and bullshit. Fear of the unknown, fear of stasis, fear of nothing and the continuing nothing. She craved escape from the mundane and longed for liberation from stifled creativity. She thirsted for inspiration, but had no idea how to achieve it. Yet there was a pinhole shaft of light. Even amongst the muck and the mire, the seed of a fledgling relationship began to germinate. He tended to her carefully, cautious and patient, and gave her plenty of room to grow. And the hardened shell began to crack and flake away, and the anxiety lessened in intensity. And the ice around that vital organ began to thaw. New Year's Eve, a time for new beginnings. That faded night in bed with him, something stirs within her. There's a new rhythm in her breast. Pangs of change. She awakens. The power of the written word was never lost on her. Quality and quantity did not matter, only the connection between her heart and her pen. But it had never felt more essential, more nourishing, than to begin again with more direction. She savored the feel of a new journal, the flow of ink on paper, the developing callus on her ring finger. She didn't just practice it, she lived for it. It wasn't an occasional pursuit, but an all-encompassing lifestyle. For her, writing was pure emotion on the page. For her, writing was public nudity, exposing a naked soul. Writing is what saved her. In the supportive arms of her man and the warm bosom of her tia, she explored the internal and the external, investigated the private and the public of her whole self, searching to find the woman within, the woman who knows her strengths and also accepts her weaknesses, the woman who knows what she wants and isn't afraid to speak her mind, the woman who has control of her sexual identity and sexuality when it had never previously existed. This she knew well. It took another person's appreciation before she learned to love herself. Look at the woman presented before you. This is the 2012 model. No crazy presets, no mere depiction of status quo. This model is greatly improved. She expresses herself in words, not emotional eruptions. Writing is not a weapon, but an assertion. She dares to add writer to her name. Some days she confronts the mirror, that pond of truth, and still has the urge to cry. But she's finally beginning to accept and like what she sees. The new self emerges. Woo! Thank you.